Welcome back to the CAMI recipe series inspired by Grandma's Kitchen. I'm Charles Steger, and today we're going to be making WarCake. And this is a recipe by Barbara Ann Burke. So it's a three-step process. So we're going to start with the ingredients that we're going to put into our pot that will go on the stove. So we're going to start with a half cup of shortening, a pound of raisins. Now, she recommends Lexi or sticky raisins. We didn't have them, but I think because this is a WarCake that I'm going to explain later, it doesn't matter which kind of raisins you use. And then, of course, 2 cups of brown sugar. Add 2 cups of water, and then we're ready to stir this up, and we're going to put it on the stove and bring to a rolling boil. And we're going to let it boil for, at a rolling boil for 5 minutes. Now we're going to come and mix the second stage of this process of WarCake. And some of you might be curious about the origins of WarCake. What is WarCake? And it was a recipe that originated during the war when there was rationing going on, so you couldn't get a lot of ingredients. And so there were certain things that were rationed, like sugar. Butter was rationed, eggs were rationed. Earlier we put shortening. We didn't put butter in this cake. And there are no eggs in this cake, and there's no milk. But these are the dry ingredients. So we're going to start now with 3 cups of flour, a teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, and that's what's going to help the cake rise. And then we're going to have a teaspoon each of cinnamon, nutmeg, and of course, cloves. And so we're going to give this a mix together and get them all these dry ingredients mixed together. And so when the other step is ready, we'll let it cool down a bit, and then we'll put the dry ingredients in and we'll mix it up as our batter. We've let this cool down now. We're ready to mix up our batters. So we're going to just put this here and add the dry ingredients to the liquid ingredients and make ourselves a batter. One of the interesting things about WarCake, I was speaking to my 92-year-old aunt. What ingredients actually were rationed in the Magdalen Islands during wartime? And one of the things that she said, sugar was hard to come by. But often many recipes that came about from that period of time had raisins, which seemed to be plentiful. And raisins acted as a sweetener for a number of recipes. So one of the things that you'll find in these recipes are raisins. And it's similar to fruitcake, actually in smell, but also in texture. So this batter that you see me stirring up right now is quite thick. So it's ready to put into our pre-greased bundt pan. So we normally use a bundt pan. You could probably put it in a different pan as well, but make sure it's pre-greased. But it smells very good. It's quite a delightful smell in your kitchen. And just give it a little tap like this to make sure it's out and even. You don't want your cake to be uneven when it comes out. Simply bake it now for about an hour. After an hour, check it with a toothpick, because that's the thing with temperature times in ovens. Not every oven is the same. Some people cook this at 350, some people cook it at 300. So I'm going to suggest maybe somewhere in the middle, but after an hour, just check it with a toothpick to see if it's done. It may not be done in an hour, it could be an hour and a half. Similar to fruitcakes. Every year when I'm baking fruitcakes, the temperature for cooking and the length of time is always a little bit different. And so this is the first time I'm making a WarCake. I'm hoping it turns out. Let's see. Just a reminder, after 60 minutes, test it with a toothpick. You'll see if it's done or not, or how much longer it needs to bake. It smells like Christmas in here, actually. The cake smells beautiful. While it cools, we'll just start maybe cleaning up the kitchen a little bit, and we'll be back to glaze it. The cake has cooled down to the touch, so I think we're ready to plate it. So we have this lovely little cake plate. So we're just going to transfer it ever so gently onto the plate. Yay, it came out in one piece. It looks beautiful. It smells beautiful. We're just going to glaze it with a very simple glaze. And you can use any recipe that you want. And we'll just do it a little messy. It doesn't have to be perfect. And so we're just going to do this. Et voila, WarCake. You can watch the other videos in this series or visit the CAMI website to find out more information about their local programming. Thank you so much for joining us, and see you next time.